On our third anniversary, I surprised Ethan with a romantic dinner. He surprised me with a slideshow of our memories that ended with a picture of him kissing my best friend. He said it was time to be honest. Everyone clapped. Everyone but me. I laughed out loud because he had no idea I already knew. And I had spent the last 2 months preparing for this night. The ring in his pocket? I swapped it. The account he thought was private? I hacked it. And when he opened the last gift I gave him, well, let's just say the look on his face was priceless. But here's how it all started, back when I thought I was the luckiest girl alive. I used to think love was supposed to feel safe, like a warm hoodie after a cold shower, or the first sip of hot coffee on a gross Monday morning. That was Ethan for me, or at least the version of Ethan I thought I knew. We met at a mutual friend's rooftop party. I was the one wearing a slightly ripped sweater and drinking boxed wine out of a solo cup. He was wearing a button-down, quoting The Office, and handing out craft beer like he was born into a brewery. I wasn't impressed, but he was persistent. And charming. God, that man could charm the hell out of a cactus. 3 months later, I was waking up next to him more than I was in my own apartment. 6 months in, we were splitting rent. A year later, I was introducing him to my mom and laughing at how nervous he got around her. It felt real. It felt solid. But now, looking back, there were signs. So many damn signs. Like the time he accidentally called me Chloe, my best friend's name, then laughed it off like it was no big deal. Or the way he always turned his phone face down when he got a text. Or how, every time I brought up the future, he'd pivot into some joke about dying young or living in a van. I should have known that night. We were out with friends at this dimly lit dive bar that smelled like beer-stained carpets and regret. I remember exactly what I was wearing. Black jeans, red crop top, leather boots that made me feel 10 feet tall. Ethan kept pulling me close, whispering that I looked dangerous. I felt good, confident, like that girl. But halfway through the night, I caught him texting under the table. Nothing crazy at first, just a glance, a smirk, and a quick reply. I leaned over and asked, half joking, "That better be your fantasy football league." He didn't even look up. Just work stuff. At 11 p.m. on a Saturday? I didn't push it. That was my first mistake. The second came 10 minutes later when Chloe showed up. She was glowing. Literally glowing. Wearing that slinky green dress that always made heads turn. And when she saw Ethan, she lit up like a Christmas tree. "Eee!" she squealed, throwing her arms around him. And my boyfriend hugged her like he hadn't seen her in months. Like he'd missed her. Like I wasn't standing right there. I laughed it off. I even made some dumb joke about them being weirdly close. They both laughed. But I swear to God, the way they looked at each other in that moment, my stomach twisted. After a couple of shots, I went to the bathroom, scrolled through Instagram, and tried to shake the weird feeling. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, jealous. But when I came back, Chloe and Ethan were gone. Gone. Our friends said they stepped outside to talk. For 20 minutes? I waited. I drank. I paced. They came back eventually separately, and Chloe couldn't meet my eyes. Ethan had that too casual smile he always wore when he was lying. That was the night I should have known. Instead, I kissed him goodnight and said, "I love you." He smiled and said, "Love you more." The next morning, I made pancakes, because I'm an idiot. But don't worry, I'm not anymore. The morning after that bar night, I remember waking up early. I'd barely slept, which wasn't new. My brain loved throwing parties at 3 a.m., complete with reruns of every weird thing Ethan and Chloe had ever done. But instead of spiraling, I got up, tied my hair into a messy bun, and made his favorite breakfast. Blueberry pancakes, extra syrup, a side of turkey bacon. Why? Because somewhere deep down, I thought maybe I was just overthinking, that if I acted normal, things would feel normal. That love was choosing to believe the best in someone, even when you had every reason not to. He stumbled out of bed around 10, kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, and said, "Smells like heaven." I wanted to slap him and cry at the same time. Instead, I smiled and said, "Only the best for my favorite guy." He grinned and reached for his coffee. I watched him drink it like I was waiting for poison to kick in. Like if I stared hard enough, the truth would bubble to the surface. But nope. Just coffee, just lies. A week passed. Things felt off, but not enough to start a war. Chloe barely texted me. Ethan said he was busy with work. I made excuses for both of them. I kept telling myself, "You're just being clingy. You're just tired. You're not the crazy jealous girlfriend. Don't be that girl." So I stopped bringing her up. I stopped checking his phone when he wasn't looking. I stopped asking questions I didn't really want the answers to. And for a while, things were okay. We'd cuddle on the couch and binge trashy Netflix shows. He started planning a weekend trip to the lake. He even left a note on the fridge one morning. Can't believe it's almost 3 years. Love you more every day. I read that damn note 100 times, memorized the handwriting, held on to it like it meant something. But one night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. We were lying in bed. The room was dark except for the soft glow of my salt lamp. He was scrolling through his phone, and I said, out of nowhere, "Do you think Chloe's been acting weird?" He froze for half a second. That's all it took. "Nah," he said. "Why?" "I don't know. She barely talks to me anymore." And that night at the bar, I let the sentence hang. He kept scrolling. "You're overthinking." That was always his favorite phrase. You're overthinking. He used it like a get-out-of-jail-free card. Every time something felt off, you're overthinking. Every time he fucked up, you're overthinking. Like I was some broken little toy with a malfunctioning brain. I turned away from him, curled into a ball and whispered, "Yeah, you're probably right." But I wasn't. And part of me already knew that. 2 days later, I ran into Chloe at the coffee shop near my work. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. I waved. She waved back but didn't come over. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong. I texted her that night. Just a simple, "Hey, everything good between us? Miss you." No reply. The next morning, she blocked me. Blocked me. And that's when the switch flipped. I wasn't gonna play the cool, chill, supportive girlfriend anymore. I was done choosing ignorance. Done playing dumb. I wanted answers. I wanted proof. So I did what any heartbroken, suspicious girl would do. I opened his laptop. I know. Invasion of privacy. Whatever. At that point, I didn't care. And wow, I found everything. Every single thing. Hidden in a work docs folder on his desktop were screenshots, chats, emails, photos of them. Naked, smiling, in our bed. I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. My hands shook. They started hooking up 6 months ago. 6 freaking months. While I was picking out anniversary gifts and meal prepping for his gym goals, he was sneaking around with her. My best friend. My ride or die. The girl who once held my hair while I threw up tequila shots and cried about my ex. And the worst part? He called her baby. The same name he called me. He didn't even bother to come up with something new. That's when I snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled. Because I knew exactly what I was gonna do. So here's the part where most people would have lost it. Burned his clothes, keyed his car, ugly cried to Taylor Swift in the bathtub. And trust me, the rage was raging. But something in me went cold, clear, calculating. Because if he could lie to my face for 6 months, then I could spend a few weeks pretending to be the perfect girlfriend, while building the kind of revenge he'd never see coming. I deleted all traces of what I saw. No evidence, no confrontation. I didn't even tell Chloe I knew. I needed them to feel safe, untouchable, arrogant. Because that's when people screw up. And Ethan? Oh, he made it so easy. The next day, he brought me coffee at work. My favorite order, even added a little heart on the cup like some discount Pinterest boyfriend. He said, "We should start planning our anniversary." I smiled so sweetly I almost got a cavity. Yeah, I have something special in mind. He kissed me. I didn't flinch. Because when you're playing the long game, you don't fold your cards at the first lie. You wait. You stack the deck. So I gotta work. I knew Chloe used WhatsApp for her sneaky convos. She thought it was safer. She was dumb. Her backup was linked to her iCloud. And she'd logged in on my iPad once during a trip. I still had access. Took me 5 minutes to get in. And what I found? Gross. Like, traumatizing gross. The cringe was strong, but I screenshotted everything. Organized it into folders by date. Labeled them while I was cooking dinner. During our lake trip, night I got sick. It helped me process. Ethan worked at a startup. Small team, tight-knit, loved playing the "we're a family card at work" happy hours. I found his boss on LinkedIn, then did a little digging. Turns out she was super anti-cheating, like full-on feminist boss queen energy. So I made an anonymous Instagram and started posting vague storytime reels with blurred screenshots and a voiceover that hinted at everything. Not enough to name names, just enough to plant a seed. It worked. People started speculating. His coworkers shared it. Chloe even commented, "OMG, this is wild," like she wasn't one of the villains. Oh, babe. You just wait. I made a fake email account under Ethan's name and messaged a few wedding venues. Told them we were looking to announce our engagement on our anniversary. He'd mentioned proposing soon, and I knew he was dumb enough not to realize I was moving the timeline. They sent me options. I booked one. Paid the deposit. Used his card. Petty? Yes. Illegal? Maybe. Satisfying? You have no idea. Meanwhile, Ethan kept texting Chloe things like, "Can't wait to finally be free, and just play nice a little longer." Free? From what? Me? Oh, honey. You're not escaping. You're getting exposed. I found the ring. It was hidden in his sock drawer like some cliché. Basic solitaire, nothing flashy. I took it. Replaced it with a cheap cubic zirconia I bought off Amazon. Same size. Looked real from a distance, but under any light, it screamed fake. I also made a video. A little slideshow. Sweet pics of us at first vacations, holidays, smiling selfies. Then, slowly it morphed into screenshots of them. Kissing, texting, laughing about me. At the end, a final message in bold white letters on a black screen. Congratulations. You played yourself. That video would play at the anniversary dinner. Because yes, I planned one. Ethan thought he was organizing it. He even told me to dress nice and expect a surprise. I smiled and said, I love surprises. But nothing, and I mean nothing, would prepare him for mine. The anniversary dinner was set at this bougie little restaurant with dim lighting, overpriced wine, and waiters who spoke in whispers like everything was a damn secret. Ethan picked it because it had romantic vibes. I picked it because they had AV equipment and a projector. We both had plans. Only one of us was going to enjoy how it ended. I wore a long black dress, low back, subtle shimmer, a little dramatic, like I was dressed for a funeral. He looked smug the second I stepped out of the Uber. Eyes scanned me like I was dessert, and I felt the bile rise in my throat. But I smiled. Because I had one job left, play the role. He leaned in to kiss me, and I let him. Quick, cold, just enough to sell it. We walked in together, and I could see his excitement bubbling. He was trying to act chill, but he kept checking his pocket, the one I knew held the swapped-out ring. We sat down at the corner table. Candles flickered. Music played soft in the background. I was oddly calm. Too calm. Like my body knew this was the moment I'd been crawling toward, through glass for weeks. We ordered food. He got the steak, rare, because of course he did. I picked at a salad, barely tasted anything. He reached across the table, took my hand, and said, 3 years with you. Honestly, I'm the luckiest guy alive. I almost laughed. Is that why you're constantly trying to escape? I asked sweetly. He blinked. What? Nothing, I said, brushing it off. Just teasing. He chuckled. You're wild tonight. Oh, Ethan. I was feral. Halfway through dinner he stood up and tapped his glass like we were at a wedding. Everyone, he said, voice all confident and fake humble, thank you for being here. Tonight's a special night. 3 years ago, I met someone who changed my life, who made me better, stronger, happier. And I want to show her just how much she means to me. He turned to me. People around us clapped. I froze. He dropped to one knee. Yup, full proposal, in front of strangers, like a rom-com from hell. Babe, he said, pulling out the ring box, will you marry me? The room went quiet. My heart didn't even flinch. I smiled, nodded. He opened the box, and that's when the first crack showed. The ring sparkled cheaply, the light caught it just right, and even the waitress next to us tilted her head, confused. Ethan stared at it, confused too, like, wait, this isn't right. I leaned down and whispered, surprise. He tried to hide the panic, fumbled, laughed nervously. We'll fix this later, he muttered. Oh no, sweetie. It's fixing itself right now. I stood up, clinked my glass and said, actually, I have a little something prepared too. The waiter wheeled in the screen. I tipped him extra, told him it was a surprise birthday video. Not a lie, really. It was a surprise, just not for me. The video started. Pictures of Ethan and me, cute ones, laughing in the snow, holding hands at the lake, him kissing my forehead. The room awed. Then, it shifted. First, just text. Can't wait to see you tonight. She's being annoying again. You're the one I actually love. Soon. I promise. Just a little longer. Then the photos. Ethan, Chloe, naked, in my apartment. Gasps. A few people laughed. One guy said, yo, what the hell? Ethan turned white. Like paper white. Tried to grab the remote, but I already had it. No, I said calmly. Let's finish the show. The final slide hit. This is what you threw away. This is who you really are. Congratulations, Ethan. You're free now. Silence. Ethan stood there, jaw slack, humiliated. He tried to speak. Nothing came out. His hands twitched like he wanted to fix something. Anything but couldn't find the pieces. I took the fake ring from the box, held it up. Next time you propose to someone while cheating with her best friend, I said, maybe don't hide the proof in a folder labeled work docs. One woman at the bar slow clapped. I walked out without looking back. No tears, no rage, just peace. But the story wasn't over yet. Because Chloe? Oh, she had no idea what was coming next. When I walked out of that restaurant, heels clicking against the sidewalk like I was scoring a movie scene, I didn't feel victorious. Not yet. The revenge was clean, the exposure flawless, and Ethan? Absolutely wrecked. But there was still one person who hadn't faced the music. Chloe. She blocked me, ghosted me, and played the victim like she wasn't the one dry humping my boyfriend behind my back. And somehow, that betrayal? It hurt worse than Ethan's. Because Ethan lied to me as a boyfriend. But Chloe? She lied to me as a sister. We had history, 10 years of sleepovers, crying on bathroom floors, doing each other's makeup before first dates. I held her hand when her dad died. She held mine after I got dumped sophomore year. She was supposed to be my person. Instead, she became the punchline of the worst joke my life ever told. So after the anniversary dinner apocalypse, I decided Chloe needed her own little wake-up call. She didn't know I had access to her WhatsApp, still hadn't figured it out. Rookie move. I kept reading her texts like the FBI with free time. That girl was out here spinning a narrative. I didn't mean for it to happen. She's always been kind of controlling. Ethan and I have a real connection. A real connection? Babe, the only connection y'all had was a shared allergy to honesty. I waited a week, let the silence simmer, let her think maybe she was safe. Then I sent her a package. Inside? A printed photo of her and Ethan in my bed, a flash drive with all their messages, one of the scrunchies she accidentally left at my apartment the night she said she was too tired to hang, and a note. You're not a villain in your story. But in mine? You die first. She didn't respond. Not right away. But 2 nights later she called me. Blocked number. I answered on speaker while painting my nails, just for the drama. Her voice was shaking. Why are you doing this? I smiled. You mean, why am I returning the favor? I didn't mean to fall for him, she whispered. God, that sentence. That pathetic, soft, selfish sentence. I let it sit, let her squirm in the silence. Then I said, I hope he's worth losing me. Because I was the best friend you'll ever have. She started crying. Like full-on, ugly sobs. I could picture her curled on her bathroom floor, mascara bleeding into her hoodie sleeves. Good. I messed up so bad, she said. You have no idea how sorry I am. Oh, I know, I said, blowing on my nails. I just don't care. Then I hung up. But her breakdown? It wasn't enough. Because Chloe still had something I needed to destroy her perfect girl image. See, Chloe loved to post on social media, like she was this wholesome, yoga-loving, green juice-drinking queen of good vibes. She had followers. A brand. Influencer SHT. So I dropped the last bomb. Remember those spicy photos she sent Ethan? I blurred her face. Didn't show anything. NSFW. I'm not a monster, but I did post a very clear text conversation underneath the pics, her saying, she's so dumb, she'll never find out. I'd never do this if I didn't know he was miserable with her. I'm honestly doing her a favor. I posted it from my burner account. Tagged her main. No caption, just a fire emoji. It blew up. People started reposting it, sharing it. Her comment section turned into a war zone. Girls dragged her. Guys unfollowed. Brands quietly pulled out. In 48 hours, Chloe's perfect life crashed. And while all of this unraveled, Ethan texted me. Can we talk? Please. I screwed up. I didn't respond. Not yet. Because I was still watching the pieces fall. Still watching Chloe shrink into nothing under the spotlight she once loved. And it felt good. Not perfect. Not healed. But good. Still, I wasn't done. Because Ethan hadn't learned his lesson yet. And I had one last card to play. Ethan texted again. Then called. Left a voicemail. Hey, I don't even know where to start. Look, I screwed everything up. I know that. But what we had, it was real, right? Can we just talk? Please? I played the message twice. Not because I missed him. God, no. But because I needed to hear the panic. The unraveling. He wasn't sorry because he hurt me. He was sorry because I caught him. Big difference. Still, I was curious. Not emotionally, I was done pretending he meant anything anymore. But there was something satisfying about seeing someone squirm when they finally realized they'd destroyed the one thing they couldn't replace. So, yeah, I texted him back. Sure. Let's talk. One condition, you meet me at that little cafe you always hated. He agreed immediately. Of course he did. He thought this was his redemption arc. Thought I was softening. Sweetie, I was setting the stage. The cafe was a small hole in the wall spot with mismatched furniture and vines growing through the windows. I loved it. He used to complain it was too hipster and didn't even serve real milk. He always preferred chain places boring, sterile, lifeless, like him. I got there early, sat at a table near the back, wore my hair up, no makeup, hoodie and jeans. I wanted him to see that I didn't have to glam up for this. I wanted him to see what he'd throw away without the packaging. He showed up late, as usual. Same cocky walk, but something in his eyes was different now, like he'd aged 10 years in 10 days. I guess betrayal wrinkles the soul. He sat down, looked at me and said, "You look good." I sipped my coffee. "I am good." He winced. I deserved that. Deserved a lot more, actually. Silence stretched between us. I let it. I wanted him to feel it in his bones. He finally said, "I don't know why I did it." I tilted my head. "Sure you do. You did it because you could. Because you thought you were smarter than me. Because she fed your ego and I didn't play dumb anymore." He didn't deny it, just stared at the table like the truth was etched into the wood grain. "I was scared," he muttered, "of how serious we got. Of messing it up." "You did mess it up," I said. "Just not the way you feared." He nodded, swallowed hard. "I miss you." "No, you miss the version of me who didn't know the truth." He looked up at me then, and for a moment I saw it regret. Real, soul-deep regret. But it didn't move me. Not like it used to. Because I finally realized regret is useless if it shows up after the damage is done. I leaned back, arms crossed, and said, "Let me guess. Chloe ghosted you?" He hesitated. We're not talking right now." I laughed. "Oh wow. You mean the soulmate who blew up her life for you isn't here now that the smoke cleared?" He tried to smile, but it died before it reached his eyes. "She said I ruined her," he whispered. "Funny. She said I was the one ruining you." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "I don't know who I am anymore," he said, voice cracking. "Then maybe now's a good time to figure it out." He looked so small in that chair, like a guy who realized too late that the life he had was the best thing he'd ever touch. "I still love you," he said. That's when I stood up. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Then that makes two of you who love me. Because I do too. And unlike you, I don't cheat on the people I love." I left him there, surrounded by the ghosts of who he used to be. And as I walked out, the cold wind hit my face, and I smiled for real this time. Not because I'd won, but because I'd let go. Still, the story doesn't quite end there, because something happened next I didn't see coming, something that flipped everything upside down again. So after the cafe showdown, I thought I was done. Clean slate, healing arc activated. You know the vibe, cut your hair, hit the gym, post cryptic captions like, "Rising from the ashes never looked so good." I even started journaling, for God's sake. But 2 weeks later, just when I started breathing normally again, I got a DM that made my stomach hit the floor. It was from a girl I didn't know. Her profile was private, no bio, just a simple name and a profile picture of a golden retriever. But the message? "Hey, you don't know me, but I think we need to talk. It's about Ethan." I stared at it for a full minute, heart thudding like a damn drum solo. I thought I'd uncovered everything. I thought there was no more damage he could do. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. I replied cautiously. "What is this about exactly?" She responded immediately. "I think we were dating the same guy." I swear the room tilted. My fingers went cold. I called her. Straight up. I needed to hear her voice to make sure this wasn't some troll pulling a sick joke. She picked up on the second ring. "Hey," she said, voice nervous. This is gonna sound insane. Try me," I said. "My ex proposed to me with a fake ring while sleeping with my best friend. I'm not easily shocked anymore." She paused. "Well, I've been seeing Ethan for about 4 months. He told me he was recently divorced, said his ex-wife was controlling and vindictive, and that he just wanted to move on peacefully." I choked. "Ex-wife? He said I was his ex-wife?" She sighed. "Yeah. I only figured out something was off when I saw your burner account on Instagram, the one with the story reels. Your voice sounded really familiar." I followed the rabbit hole. I blinked, stunned. "So, he was dating you while he was with me? And hooking up with Chloe?" "Looks like it," she said quietly. "I just thought you should know." We sat in silence for a beat, the kind of silence that buzzes. Then I asked the most logical question of all. "Do you want to help me destroy him?" She laughed sharp, angry, the kind of laugh women only share when they realize they've been burned by the same fire. "Hell yes," she said. Her name was Jenna. She worked in marketing, lived on the other side of town, and had no clue about me until 2 weeks ago. Ethan had compartmentalized us like a little sociopath, organizing a calendar. So we got to work. We created a group chat, Ethan's Exes United. Added 2 more girls who slid into Jenna's DMs after she posted a subtle breakup reel with the caption, "Thank God I saw the truth before I married a narcissist." Turns out, Ethan had a whole ass rotation. He'd been telling one girl he was in therapy for emotional wounds from his last relationship, told another that I had cheated on him and that he was learning how to love again. And the wildest part, he recycled compliments, like verbatim. All 4 of us had screenshots of Ethan calling us his muse, his safe space, his sunlight on a cloudy day. Boy was out here copy-pasting romance like a lazy Tinder poet. So we planned a little goodbye gift. Jenna still had access to his Spotify. She created a new public playlist called "Sorry I Fucked Your Life Up" and filled it with breakup anthems, Taylor Swift rage bangers, and one track titled "You're So Vain." Another girl sent a bouquet of dead roses to his office. One girl reported his burner Instagram where he was messaging new girls under a fake name. And me? I emailed his mom. Oh yeah, I went there, told her everything, attached screenshots. I didn't even need to add commentary, just dropped the receipts and ended the email with, "I thought you deserved to know the kind of man you raised. Best of luck." She never replied. But Ethan did. He called me at midnight that Friday. I didn't answer. He texted, "You've ruined my entire life." I stared at that message, laughed, then wrote back, "No, baby. You did that all by yourself. I just turned on the lights." But even after all that, I still wasn't done healing. Because revenge is sweet, yeah, but closure? That's a different story entirely. And mine was just beginning. After the Ethan Expose ATM finished going viral in our tiny corner of the world, something weird started happening. Silence. No more texts. No more burner account messages. No more DM bombs or accidental run-ins with Ethan's new flavor of the week. Just nothing. At first, the quiet felt wrong, like I was waiting for the next fire to break out. But then, it felt peaceful. My life suddenly had space. Space to think, to breathe, to exist, without the constant buzzing chaos of betrayal and revenge. I didn't realize how much of myself I had tied up in Ethan, his moods, his attention, his validation. I'd let his bare minimum become my emotional ceiling. And now, that ceiling was gone. I could finally see the sky. Still, healing wasn't linear. It wasn't like I woke up one morning glowing and empowered. Nah. I had nights where I stared at my ceiling until 4 a.m. replaying the moment he called me babe, while planning to propose with a swapped ring. I still flinched at certain songs, still had to unfollow couples who looked too happy on Instagram. But I was learning. I started doing small things just for me, without wondering if Ethan would approve, or Chloe would roll her eyes. I took myself to the movies, alone, bought popcorn, didn't share. I redecorated the apartment, ripped out every trace of him, Replaced the prints he picked with bold art that actually matched my vibe. Got rid of the stupid throw blanket he loved and bought one that was obnoxiously soft and bright yellow. I even tried pole fitness. Spoiler, I sucked. But I laughed. A lot. And through it all, I journaled like a maniac. Not cutesy Dear Diary entries, no. I wrote like I was exorcising demons. One night, after a long, raw entry where I basically yelled at my past self in all caps, I flipped the page and wrote, "You deserve better. You always did." I stared at that sentence for a while, let it settle in my bones. Because it was true, and saying it didn't just feel like forgiveness, it felt like freedom. Jenna and I stayed in touch. She was funny, sarcastic, and healing in her own way. We'd send each other memes, break up TikToks, and the occasional Ethan update. Turns out he tried rebranding himself as a life coach, and it backfired hard. She invited me out one weekend to a low-key bar downtown. I almost said no. The idea of being out, socializing again, putting on a normal face felt exhausting. But I went. I put on jeans that made my butt look incredible, curled my hair, and told myself, "You don't owe anyone closure but yourself." And it was fun. Stupid, light, low-stakes fun. I danced. I laughed. I met a guy who looked like he belonged on a cologne commercial. He bought me a drink and asked what I did for work. And for the first time in forever, I didn't bring up Ethan. Didn't reference my past or define myself by my damage. I just existed, present, whole. As the night ended, Jenna leaned in and said, "You're glowing?" I shrugged. "It's the tequila," she smiled. "Nah, it's the peace." And maybe she was right, because I didn't want revenge anymore. I didn't want closure from Ethan. I didn't even want an apology. I wanted me. And for the first time, I was getting her back.